At our 6th anniversary dinner, my husband gave my chair to his first love and told me not to embarrass him in front of his family. When another guest smiled at Serena and said, "You must be Noah's wife," he let the mistake hang in the air long enough for everyone at the table to notice. I did not cry or demand an explanation. I took off my wedding ring, photographed the message in which Noah told me to pay the bill, and accepted a job 12,200 m away. The ring left a pale groove around my finger. I stared at it for half a second before placing it beside my folded napkin across the private dining room. Noah was helping Serena into my coat, not a similar coat mine. I had left it over the back of the chair beside him when I stepped away to speak with the restaurant manager about the anniversary cake. By the time I returned, Serena was sitting in my place, wrapped in cream cashmere, one hand pressed delicately to her chest. Noah crouched beside her. "Slow breaths," he said. "Look at me." Serena's eyes were wet. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to ruin tonight." "You didn't ruin anything." His mother, Eleanor, stood behind them with a hand on Serena's shoulder. Around the table, 12 relatives and friends watched with varying degrees of discomfort. Noah's younger brother, Daniel, looked at me. His expression changed when he saw the empty place on my finger. Noah did not notice. He was still focused on Serena. She had arrived 40 minutes late to a dinner that was supposed to celebrate my marriage. Noah had not told me she was coming. He had simply walked into the restaurant with her hand looped through his arm and said, "Serena had a difficult day. I knew you'd understand." Understanding had been my assigned role for 6 years. I understood when he missed my design exhibition because Serena's divorce had been finalized that afternoon. I understood when he canceled our weekend in Vermont because Serena could not sleep alone in her new apartment. I understood when he gave her a key to his office, introduced her to his investors, and answered her calls during marriage counseling. I even understood when he suggested postponing counseling because Serena's new event planning studio needed help with a hotel launch in my first life. I had believed understanding was something loving wives did. I had confused endurance with devotion. Then I had spent 8 more years waiting for Noah to turn toward me. He never did. The memory of those years did not return gently. It struck me while Serena sat in my chair. One moment I was 32, watching my husband fasten my coat around another woman's shoulders. The next, I was 40, trapped in a crushed car on an icy road, tasting blood and listening to Noah's voice through a broken phone. "Maya, where are you?" He had sounded frightened. Then, for the first time in years, he had sounded as though losing me was possible. I had been driving to Eleanor's house because Noah had asked me to smooth over another family. Disaster. Serena had announced her engagement to someone else, and Noah had disappeared from his mother's birthday dinner to confront her. Eleanor had called me, "Please come." She had begged, "You're the only one who can keep this family together." I had gone because I was still hoping that being indispensable would someday make me loved. A truck had crossed the median before I reached the next exit. As the windshield folded inward, I had thought about every room in which I had waited for Noah hour. Kitchen, hospital corridors, restaurants, hotel lobbies, the marriage counselor's office. I had died with my phone in my hand and his name on my screen. Then I had opened my eyes in the restaurant on our 6th anniversary, 3 years before the accident, before I sold my design practice, before Eleanor's stroke, before Noah moved Serena into the guest house behind our home, before I forgot what my own life had once looked like. Serena gasped softly. Noah stood. "I'm taking her home." I looked at him, at the familiar crease between his eyebrows, at the navy suit I had chosen for him, at the silver cuff links I had given him on our 3rd anniversary. He looked exactly as he had 5 minutes earlier. I was the one who had changed. Eleanor glanced toward the dessert table. "What about the cake?" Noah's mouth tightened, as if the question itself were unreasonable. "Serena is having a panic attack." I said. "I'm sorry," Serena whispered. Her eyes found mine over Noah's shoulder. For one clear second, there was no panic in them, only calculation. She wanted me to react. She wanted anger, accusation, jealousy, anything that would allow Noah to protect her from me in my first life. I had given her exactly that. I had said this was supposed to be our anniversary. Noah had called me cruel. Serena had cried harder. Eleanor had told everyone I was threatened by a vulnerable woman. By the next morning, the story had become proof that I was possessive and emotionally unstable. This time I picked up my phone, and Noah frowned. "Did you hear me?" "Yes. I need you to handle the bill." "Heard that too." He watched me, waiting for the protest. None came. "I'll call you when I get home," he said. I opened our message thread. His last message had arrived 20 minutes earlier. "While I was speaking with the manager, Serena isn't doing well. Don't make tonight harder than it already is." I took a screenshot, then I turned off shared location. Noah glanced at the ring beside my napkin. His expression shifted. Not concern. Not yet. Annoyance. "Maya." Serena touched his wrist. "Noah, I can get a cab." "No." His answer was immediate. I almost laughed for 6 years. I had needed to explain why my requests mattered. Serena only needed to offer him the opportunity to choose her. He picked up her purse. "I'll be home soon." I looked down at the ring. No need to rush. Something in my voice made Daniel sit straighter. Noah studied my face, but Serena swayed against him before he could ask another question. He caught her around the waist. Then he led her out of our anniversary dinner wearing my coat. The room remained silent until the door closed. Eleanor exhaled sharply. "Well," she said, forcing a smile, "there is no reason the rest of us can't enjoy dessert." I opened the email I had received 6 weeks earlier. Priya Shah had written 3 times since January. The first message had been formal. "Hawthorne Preservation Group is building a new adaptive reuse division in Chicago. We need someone who understands both structural history and human use. I thought of you immediately." The second had been personal. "Maya, you are still one of the best designers I have ever worked with. Stop pretending 6 years away." Erased that the third had arrived that morning. "The partnership track position closes Friday. I won't pressure you again, but I hope you choose based on what you want this time in my first life." I had deleted all 3 messages. Noah had said Chicago would be disruptive. Eleanor had needed help preparing for a hip procedure. Serena had just returned to Boston. There had always been a reason for me to stay. I pressed reply. "I accept." I wrote, "Please send me the start date and relocation details." Then I hit send. Eleanor lowered herself into Noah's empty chair. "Maya, don't punish him for helping someone who is unwell." "I'm not punishing anyone. You took off your ring." I slid it into my purse. It was tight. Daniel looked down, hiding an expression that might have been disbelief. Eleanor leaned closer. "Serena has been through a difficult divorce. Noah feels responsible because they have known each other since college. Noah is responsible for his choices." "That is not what I meant." "I know." The cake arrived. 6 white candles burned above a layer of dark chocolate. The waiter looked from Noah's empty chair to mine. "Would you like us to wait for your husband?" "No." I picked up the knife. "Please cut it." The laughter around the table was thin and careful. Eleanor began telling a story about Noah as a child. His aunt asked about hotel occupancy. Daniel offered me wine. I listened to them speak as though nothing irreversible had happened. Perhaps to them nothing had. Noah had left me at dinner before. Serena had occupied my time, my plans, and my husband's attention for almost a year. I had forgiven every smaller betrayal. So they assumed I would forgive the next one. That was the comfort I had given all of them. By the time the check arrived, I had received Priya's reply. "Call me as soon as you can." The total for dinner was more than $2,000 in my first life. I had paid it from the joint account. This time I placed Noah's personal card inside the leather folder. He had used it to reserve the room. When the waiter returned, he said quietly, "Mrs. Bennett, this card was declined." Eleanor's face tightened. "That's impossible." I knew it was not for the past 3 months. Noah had been moving large amounts from his personal account. When I asked about it, he told me hotel expansion costs were higher than expected. I handed over my card. "Please split the charge, put the original deposit, and Mr. Bennett's guests on his reservation. I'll cover my meal in the anniversary cake." The waiter hesitated. "I can ask the manager." "Thank you." Eleanor lowered her voice. "Must you make this awkward?" I'm making it accurate. We are family. Then Noah can pay for the family members he invited. Daniel coughed into his hand. Eleanor stared at me. I had rarely contradicted her in public. I had learned early that Bennett disagreements were supposed to occur in private, where the person with less power could be pressured into silence without witnesses. My phone vibrated. Noah, I let it ring. Eleanor looked at the screen. Answer him. He said he would call when he got home. He may need something. I'm sure he does. The call stopped. A message appeared. Serena is settled. I may stay until she falls asleep. I photographed that too. Then I opened the banking app. Our joint account held $13,162 months earlier. It had held more than $0. I scrolled through the recent transfers. Vale Event Studio Lease 14500 Vale Events Furnishings 18760 Vale Consulting Advance 11200. There were smaller payments for groceries, a wellness retreat, a furniture delivery company, and a private car service. Noah had told me Serena's new studio was being financed by an investor. Apparently, the investor was my marriage. I downloaded the statements. Then I can lead the automatic monthly transfer from my business account into the joint account 4 years. I had deposited nearly every freelance payment there. Noah earned more than I did, but his income was tied to bonuses and family investments. My money covered the predictable expenses, the mortgage, utilities, insurance, Eleanor supplemental care, the cleaning service, the property taxes. I had called it teamwork. Noah had called it normal. The waiter returned with 2 receipts. I signed mine. When the dinner finally ended, Daniel followed me into the lobby. Rain streaked the windows. You're not going home, are you? He asked. Eventually, I meant tonight. I studied him. Daniel was 3 years younger than Noah and far less polished. He worked as a physical therapist, lived in a small apartment, and disappointed Eleanor by refusing to join the family business in my first life. He had once apologized to me in a hospital cafeteria. We let you become useful enough that we stopped asking whether you were happy. He had said by then I had been too tired to understand the importance of the sentence. Now I did. I'm going to a hotel. I said, does Noah know? No. Daniel looked toward the elevators where Eleanor was complaining to her cousin about the restaurant. Maya, I'm not defending him. That would be new. He accepted the blow. Fair. I pulled my coat tighter around me. I had retrieved it from Serena's building after Noah left it with the doorman. He had not noticed it was gone. Daniel shoved his hands into his pockets. Do you need help? Not tonight. Are you safe? The question almost undid me. Not because I was in danger, because no one had asked me that in a very long time. Yes, I said. I am now. I booked a room near Logan Airport and called Priya from the taxi. She answered on the first ring. Tell me you did not accept by accident. I accepted. Silence. Then are you sure? Yes. What changed? I looked out at the blurred red lights along the wet street. I stopped waiting for permission. Priya did not ask whether Noah approved. That was one of the reasons I had trusted her before I stopped trusting myself. The position starts in 3 weeks, she said. We can arrange temporary housing for 60 days. You will need to come in next Monday to sign the final paperwork. I'll be there, Maya. This is partnership track. It is demanding. I know you will not be able to disappear every time someone in Boston has an emergency. I know. Do you? Yes. My answer was steady. I'm done disappearing at the hotel. I placed the wedding ring in the room safe. Then I opened my laptop. I made 4 folders: property, banking, medical, and family care communications. I downloaded our house title first. The brownstone on West Cedar Street had been purchased 11 months before I married Noah. My grandmother's estate paid the down payment. The mortgage and deed were in my name. Noah had paid for renovations to his office on the 3rd floor. He had never paid toward the principal. I had never emphasized the distinction because I believed the home belonged to our marriage in my first life. Noah had convinced me to add him to the deed during Eleanor's recovery. It will simplify things if something happens to you. He had said something had happened to me. He had kept the house this time. I saved the original deed in 3 locations at 2 o'clock in the morning. Noah called again. I answered. Where are you? He demanded safe. I went home. You're not here. I know. Eleanor said you were acting strangely at dinner. Your mother thinks any boundary is strange. He exiled. Can we not do this tonight? You called me. You took off your ring. You gave my seat to another woman. Serena was having a panic attack. She was drinking champagne 10 minutes earlier. You don't know what she is dealing with. You're right. I know what I'm dealing with. His voice hardened. What is that supposed to mean? It means I'm tired. Then come home. The words were not an invitation. They were an instruction in the past. I had obeyed because going home felt easier than extending the conflict. Not tonight, Maya. I'm hanging up. You're overreacting. There it was. The phrase that had closed every argument in our marriage. I was overreacting when I asked why Serena had a key to his office. I was overreacting when he led our counseling session for her. I was overreacting when she called after midnight. I was overreacting when Eleanor seated her beside Noah at Thanksgiving because old friends should catch up. I was overreacting whenever my pain became inconvenient. Noah, I said, you do not get to decide how much pain I am allowed to feel. Then I ended the call. He rang back 7 times. I turned off the phone at 9 o'clock the next morning. I met Helena Ortiz in a glass-walled office overlooking the harbor. I had found her name 2 years earlier when a colleague divorced. In my first life, I had saved Helena's number and never called this time. I arrived with a laptop, printed statements, and the house deed. Helena was in her late 40s with silver threaded through her dark hair and a way of reading documents that made silence feel active. You have done more preparation overnight than many clients do in 3 months. She said, I've had longer than one night. She looked up. I did not explain. What outcome do you want? She asked. The question caught me off guard. People had asked what Noah wanted, what Eleanor needed, what Serena was going through. No one had asked me about the outcome. I'm moving to Chicago. That is a logistical decision. What do you want from the marriage? I pressed my fingertips together. I want it to stop consuming me. Separation. Yes, divorce. The word opened a space in the room in my first life. I had feared it as if divorce were the worst ending available. I knew better now. Yes, I said, but I want to leave correctly. Helena nodded. Then we document before we announce. Do not empty joint accounts. Do not destroy property. Do not block access to the marital residence without advice. Change your personal passwords. Redirect your income. Inventory valuable items. Communicate in writing whenever possible. I slid the bank statements toward her. She read the payments to Serena's company. Did you authorize these? No. Did your husband tell you about them? No. Do you have proof that some of the money in this account came from premarital assets or your business income? Yes. Good. We will request full records. She tapped the house deed. This is your strongest immediate protection. Do not sign anything related to title or refinancing. I won't. Has he ever asked? Several times recently last month. He said the hotel group might use the property as part of a personal guarantee. Helena's expression sharpened. Did he send documents? I searched my email. There they were. 3 messages from Noah's assistant. The subject line read West Cedar title update. I had ignored them because Noah said the paperwork was routine. Helena opened the attachment. It was not routine. The document would have added Noah to the deed and allowed a line of credit against the property. My name appeared beneath an empty signature line. Heat moved through my chest in my first life. I had signed it not because Noah threatened me, because he kissed my forehead and said, "This is what marriage looks like. We trust each other." I had spent years proving my trust. He had spent years converting it into access. Do not confront him about this yet. Helena said, I won't. Can you remain in the home safely while preparing to move? I don't want to stay there. Then collect your personal documents and belongings when he is not present. Bring a witness. I thought of Daniel. No family members, Helena added, reading my hesitation. Use a professional mover or a friend whose loyalty is not divided. Understood. By noon, I had signed an engagement letter. By 2, I had booked a flight to Chicago for the following Monday. By 4, Priya had sent temporary housing details. At 6, I returned to West Cedar Street with 2 movers and my former assistant, Lucy, who had worked with me before I reduced my practice. Noah's car was gone. I packed clothes, books, design tools, family photographs, and the blue ceramic bowl my grandmother had made. I left the furniture. Most of it had been chosen to suit Noah. Gray sofa, dark dining table, leather chairs, a bedroom designed to look like an expensive hotel where no one truly lived. Lucy stood in the doorway of my studio. "You're taking the drafting table, right?" I looked at it. Noah had complained that it made the room crowded. For years, it had been covered with unopened mail and hotel samples. Yes, we cleared it together. At 7:30, the front door opened. Noah entered, loosened his tie, and stopped. Boxes lined the hallway. One mover carried my drafting chair toward the stairs. "What is happening?" No one answered immediately. His eyes found me. "Maya, I told you I was tired. You said you were staying at a hotel." "I did. You did not say you were moving out." "I am telling you now." Lucy walked past him with a box. Noah waited until she was out of the room. "Can we have some privacy?" "No." His face changed. He was accustomed to private conversations because privacy gave him control over what had happened. There were no witnesses, no records, and no one to interrupt. When he redefined my memory, he lowered his voice. "This is insane. I've accepted a job in Chicago." For the first time, he looked genuinely startled. "What job?" "The Hawthorne position. The one Priya mentioned last year." "Yes, you turned that down." "I changed my mind. You can't move to Chicago because of one bad dinner." "I'm not." "Then what is this?" I closed a box of design books. "The result of what?" "Everything before the dinner." He dragged a hand through his hair. Serena was in distress. She had enough control to take my seat, wear my coat, and watch my reaction. "You're blaming her for a medical issue. I'm holding you responsible for leaving our anniversary dinner with another woman. She is my friend. Then you should be able to be her friend without asking your wife to disappear." "I never asked you to disappear." I looked around the room at the drafting table buried for years, at the office door bearing his initials, at the framed photograph of his family, above the mantel selected by Eleanor in which I stood on the edge. "You didn't have to ask." He followed my gaze but did not understand it. "Not yet. You're making a permanent decision while you're angry." "I made permanent decisions while I was hopeful. Those were worse." "What does that mean?" "It means I gave up Chicago once for our marriage." "No, I gave it up. You benefited." He stepped closer. "We decided together. You said you would resent me if I left. You said your mother needed me. You said long distance would destroy us. It would have." I almost smiled. "We stayed in the same house. Noah, look what that did." His phone lit up. "Serena." He turned it face down. The gesture would once have felt like victory. Now it was only late. "I'll call her back." He said, "I didn't ask you not to answer." "Because you want me to prove something?" "No, because I no longer need proof." The last box was carried downstairs. I picked up my handbag. Noah moved between me and the door. "Are you leaving me?" "I am leaving this house tonight. Helena Ortiz will send you a formal separation notice tomorrow." His face went still. "You hired a lawyer?" "Yes, before speaking to me. We have spoken for 6 years." "That is not fair." "Fair would have been telling me before you used our joint account to finance Serena's studio." Color left his face. "How did I read the statements?" I was going to explain when. "It was a short-term loan." "Did she sign a loan agreement?" He said nothing. "Did I approve it?" "It is our money." "That answer is why I hired a lawyer." He looked toward Lucy, who had returned to the hallway. "You searched our accounts and brought strangers into our home." "My home?" I said quietly. His eyes narrowed. "What?" "The deed is in my name. I bought it before we married." "I know that. Do you?" The line of credit documents stood between us. Even though I had not mentioned them, he recovered quickly. "Maya, stop. Stay tonight. We'll talk in the morning." I stayed in the first life. The words nearly escaped. I caught them before they became sound. Instead, I said, "There is nothing about mourning that will make tonight untrue." I stepped around him. He did not grab me. Noah had never been physically violent. His control depended on being certain I would stop myself this time. I walked out for the next 3 days. He called, texted, and emailed at first. The messages were angry. "You are humiliating both of us." Then practical. "Eleanor's physical therapy appointment is Thursday. Did you change it?" Then dismissive. "Take the weekend. We'll talk when you're karma." Then confused. "The closet is empty." Then almost frightened. "Maya, please answer." I responded once. "All communication regarding property and finances should be in writing. Your mother's care schedule and provider contacts are in the household binder." "I will not be coordinating future appointments," he replied within seconds. "You are my wife, not an employee resigning from a job." I stared at the sentence. Then I wrote, "You treated me like both. Whenever it benefited you on Monday morning." I boarded a flight to Chicago. As the plane moved away from the gate, Noah called again. His name filled the screen in. My first life. I had spent 8 years waiting for that name to appear. I turned the phone face down for the first time in 2 lives. I felt nothing when it rang. Chicago did not welcome me gently. My temporary apartment was on the 4th floor of a narrow brick building with unreliable heat and pipes that knocked at 3 o'clock in the morning. The bedroom window faced another wall. The kitchen had one shallow drawer and no place for the blue ceramic bowl except the center of the table. I loved it. Nothing in the apartment had been chosen for Noah. There was no drawer for his watches, no shelf for hotel reports, no chair position to suit his habit of reading near the window. The silence was not the silence of being ignored. It belonged to me. On my first morning at Hawthorne Preservation Group, I arrived 30 minutes early and still felt late. The office occupied a converted printing warehouse near the river. Exposed brick walls rose behind glass meeting rooms. Scale models covered long tables. Material samples were labeled by year, origin, and deterioration pattern. People moved with purpose. No one asked me to schedule a medical appointment, choose a birthday gift, or remember which cousin was allergic to shellfish. Priya met me beside reception. She wore black trousers, red glasses, and the same expression she had worn in graduate school whenever someone underestimated her. "You came," she said. I said I would. "You have said many things over the past 6 years." "I know." Her face softened. Then she hugged me once and released me. "Your first project is the Ashford Theater." I stared at her. The Ashford was a 1920s theater that had survived fire, abandonment, and 3 failed redevelopment plans. This plaster work was famous. This foundation was unstable. Preservation groups had fought for years to keep it from becoming luxury apartments. That project has been stalled since spring, which is why we hired someone who enjoys impossible buildings. I used to. Priya handed me a hard hat. "Find out whether you still do." The first week hurt, not emotionally, professionally. I had spent years telling myself that talent did not disappear. I had not considered how quickly confidence could. During a structural meeting, I forgot the name of a load transfer system I had once taught to junior designers at the site. I misread an outdated elevation note and ordered a second measurement. When a contractor challenged my proposed method for removing damaged plaster, my response came 2 seconds too late. No one mocked me. That almost made it worse. I went home each night and reviewed drawings until midnight. I studied code updates. I rebuilt digital modeling skills I had neglected. I called former engineers and admitted what I did not know. It was humiliating. It was also honest. Noah called every day. I did not answer. He sent flowers to the office on Wednesday. The card read 6 years cannot end because of one mistake. I gave the flowers to reception on Thursday. Another arrangement arrived. I miss my wife. I asked the florist to block future deliveries on Friday. A box appeared containing photographs from our wedding, a bottle of the wine we had served, and the silver picture frame from our bedroom. I mailed it back that evening. He emailed, "You cannot keep returning everything I send." I replied, "Watch me." The answer felt satisfying for 3 seconds. Then I closed the laptop and returned to work. My goal was not to win a conversation. It was to stop having the same conversation on. The 10th day, Helena arranged a video meeting with our bank. I sat at my small kitchen table while a compliance officer reviewed the account history. Noah had transferred $48,730 to Serena or her company over 5 months. He had also issued an authorized user card in her name through one of his personal accounts. Several payments had then been covered from the joint account when his personal balance ran low. The card had been used for a $3,800 sofa, 2 luxury hotel stays, a 6-night wellness retreat, designer lighting, restaurant bills, a deposit for a private launch party, a handbag that cost more than my first month's salary at Hawthorne. He says these were business expenses, the compliance officer explained. Were they submitted through Bennett Hospitality? No. Were they reimbursed? Not according to the records we have. Helena spoke from another window on the screen. We will request complete statements during disclosure. For now, Maya, maintain only your proportional contribution to mandatory marital expenses. I had already redirected my salary. The remaining joint funds would cover the mortgage and insurance for several months. What about Eleanor's care? I asked. Is there a legal agreement requiring you to pay? No, then you are not legally required to continue. That afternoon, Eleanor called from a number I did not recognize. I answered because I thought it might be a contractor. Maya, at last. Her tone carried the offended relief of someone whose employee had returned from an unauthorized break. How are you, Eleanor? I would be better if I understood why the home nurse says her invoice has not been paid. The nursing agency is not withdrawing from my account anymore. Then fix it. Noah has the information. Noah is in the middle of the Newport acquisition. So a pause. You have always handled my care expenses. Yes, you cannot simply stop because you are angry with my son. I stopped because they are not my responsibility. Her breath caught. This is not how families behave. Families do not secretly transfer nearly $50,000 to a son's former girlfriend while expecting his wife to pay for his mother's nurse. Eleanor was silent. Then she said, Serena's business needed assistance. So did I. That is different. It always was. Maya, you are being vindictive. I opened the spreadsheet I had completed the night before. It contained 6 years of household expenditures, mortgage contributions, property taxes, repairs, insurance, family events, Eleanor's medications, transportation, and home care. I had attached receipts wherever possible. I'm emailing you a document, I said. What document? A record of what I have paid on behalf of this family. The total is on the final page. You keep records of gifts. No, I began keeping records when your son used shared money without telling me. You are still married. Yes, that is why the money is shared. She ignored the distinction. What are we supposed to do about Thanksgiving? It was March. I don't know. You always host. Not this year. But West Cedar has the space. The house will not be available for family events. Her voice dropped. You would prevent us from gathering in Noah's home. It is not Noah's home. Excuse me. I purchased it before the marriage. The deed is in my name. You cannot throw my son into the street. I have not done that. Then why mention the deed? Because everyone keeps describing my property, money, and labor as family resources, while describing Serena's needs as Noah's private concern. Maya, I have a meeting. You cannot hang up when I am speaking. I can. I ended the call. My hands shook afterward. Boundaries did not feel powerful at first. They felt rude. Every lesson I had learned as a wife told me to call back. Soften my tone and reassure Eleanor that she would be cared for. I made tea instead. Then I went to the theater site. The Ashford's auditorium smelled of damp plaster and old dust. Rows of damaged seats faced a stage hidden behind scaffolding. Above us, faded gold stars remained visible on a midnight blue ceiling. Priya stood beside a cracked support column. You look like you have committed a crime. I told my mother-in-law to pay her own nurse. Did you steal the nurse? No. Then the guilt will pass. I hope so. Priya touched the damaged column. This may not. We spent 4 hours examining the foundation. At one point, I climbed into a narrow service cavity beneath the stage and found an original steel brace omitted from the renovation drawings. It had corroded but remained structurally significant. I photographed it and called the engineer. The discovery changed our stabilization plan for the first time since arriving in Chicago. I walked out of the theater feeling like the person I had been before marriage. Not completely, but enough to recognize her. Noah was waiting outside my apartment that night. He stood under the yellow hallway light with a suitcase beside him and 2 paper cups in his hands. I stopped at the top of the stairs. He looked exhausted. His tie was missing. His coat was wrinkled. A shadow darkened his jaw for years. I had imagined him arriving somewhere because he could not bear to be away from me. The reality did not feel romantic. Felt like someone ignoring a locked door. "How did you get my address?" Priya's office sent the relocation documents to West Cedar. That does not answer the question. I saw the address. You opened mail address to me. Came to our house. My name was on it. He set the coffee cups on the floor. "Maya, I flew here because you refused to speak to me. I have spoken to you through emails that sound as if they were written by a lawyer. A lawyer helped me understand that clarity matters." His gaze moved over my face. "You look tired. I worked today. You never needed to work this much in Boston." The sentence landed exactly as he meant it as concern. It still revealed the problem. In Boston, I worked for everyone except myself. That is not true. I took out my keys. Move away from the door. I booked a hotel, but I hoped we could talk first. We can talk here in the hallway. Yes, a door opened behind us. My elderly neighbor stepped out with a bag of trash, looked from Noah to me, and moved slowly toward the stairs. Noah lowered his voice. "This is private. You lost the right to demand privacy when you arrived uninvited." His jaw tightened. "I am your husband. You are the person I asked not to come. I came because I love you." The words would once have stopped me. I had waited years to hear them with urgency. Now I heard the condition beneath them. He loved me most when I was becoming unavailable. "What do you love?" I asked. His expression shifted. "What kind of question is that?" "Name it, Maya. What do you love about me? You are intelligent. You're loyal. You understand me better than anyone. Those are services. That is unfair. What do you miss?" He stared at me. I continued. "Do you miss my laugh, my opinions, the way I work? Do you miss talking to me? Or do you miss the house running properly, your mother calling me instead of you, and someone being home when Serena no longer needs you? That is not why I'm here." "Then answer." He picked up one of the coffees. Then put it down again. "I miss us. There has not been an us for a long time. There could be no." The word was quiet. He looked as if I had spoken in a language he did not understand. "You can't know that after 2 weeks. I knew it before I left." "Then why didn't you tell me?" "I did when every time I asked you to come to counseling. Every time I asked you not to answer Serena during dinner. Every time I asked why her emergencies mattered more than our plans. Every time you called me jealous instead of listening. I never cheated on you. You keep saying that as though fidelity means finding the furthest line you can approach without crossing. I did not sleep with her. I did not accuse you of sleeping with her. Then what are you accusing me of?" "Building a marriage in which I was responsible for stability and she received your tenderness." He flinched. "Good. Not because I wanted to hurt him, because the truth had finally reached a place his defenses did not cover." He looked down the hallway. "I told Serena I needed space. That is your decision. I can lead the studio launch. Your decision. I told my mother you would not be handling her appointments." I almost laughed. "You told her after I stopped. What do you want from me?" "Respect the separation." "You want me to do nothing?" "I want you to stop treating pursuit as proof that you listened." He stepped closer. "Maya, come home for 1 weekend. No, we can go to counseling." "No, you asked for counseling for years." I asked while I still wanted to save the marriage. His face went pale. "You don't want to save it now?" "No." My neighbor returned from the trash chute and passed us again. Noah looked at the security chain visible through the narrow glass panel beside my door. "You cannot mean that." "I do." He reached for my hand. I moved it behind my back. The motion stopped him more effectively than a slap. "Do not touch me. I wasn't going to hurt you. I didn't say you were." His eyes closed briefly. "Let me come inside for 10 minutes. "No. 5. No. I flew 1200 m. I did not ask you to." Maya, please. I had heard Noah say please many times, usually when he needed a favor. Please arrange my mother's transportation. Please move the dinner. Please be patient with Serena. Please don't make this into something bigger. This was the first time he had used the word because my consent stood between him and something he wanted. You are not coming inside. He looked at the suitcase, then back at me. What am I supposed to do? Go to your hotel. You are really going to close the door? Yes. I unlocked it, stepped inside and fastened the chain before closing it. I said, you are not being romantic. Noah, you are refusing to hear me. His face remained visible through the narrowing space. Maya, I closed the door. He stayed in the hallway for 11 minutes. I knew because I watched the time, not him. When he finally left, the paper cups remained beside the wall. The next morning, Serena sent me a message. I had not given her my new number. Noah must have. I'm sorry things became so dramatic. I blocked the screen without opening the rest. Another message followed. You should know the truth before you blame me. 3 screenshots appeared. The first was dated 2 weeks before our anniversary. Serena, she hates that you help me. Noah, Mia doesn't hate you. She is insecure about our history. Serena, what if she leaves? Noah, she won't. The second screenshot continued. Serena, you sound sure. Noah, Maya is safe. She will never leave. Serena, that isn't the same as loving you. Noah, you don't understand our marriage. The third was from the night of the dinner. Serena, I should not have come. Noah, you needed me. Serena and Maya, Noah, she'll be angry, but she'll get over it. I read the final line twice. Not because it hurt more the second time, because it hurt less in my first life. I had spent years trying to convince Noah that I could leave. He had been right then. I always got over it. I always came home. I always converted pain into another chance. Serena sent another message. He said, you were safe. I thought that meant your marriage was strong. I typed a reply. Thank you for the records. She responded immediately. Records. I did not answer. I forwarded the screenshots to Helena. Then I called Priya. I need tomorrow morning off. Is everything all right? No. Pause. Do you need me? I need to file for legal separation. That sounds like something you are doing for yourself. Yes. Then take the whole day. Helena's direction, I signed the petition electronically. It outlined separate residences, temporary financial responsibilities, property protections, and communication. Boundaries at the bottom. My name waited beneath a blank line. In my first life, I had signed medical forms, refinancing documents, care plans, and family checks. I had signed anything that preserved the structure around Noah. This signature preserved me. I pressed the digital pen to the screen by noon. Noah had been served. He called 17 times. At 1:15, he sent a single message. You filed against me. I looked at the words, then I replied, no, I filed for myself. Noah refused to use the word divorce. During our first mediation session, he called it the situation. He sat in his attorney's office in Boston while I joined from Helena's conference room in Chicago for screens formed a square between us. Noah wore a charcoal suit, and the expression he used during difficult hotel negotiations controlled reasonable certain that the other side would eventually accept his version of reality. His attorney, a man named Patrick Sloan, began with temporary finances. Mr. Bennett is prepared to maintain the mortgage and insurance on the West Cedar property during the reconciliation period. Helena glanced at me. I answered, there is no reconciliation period. Noah leaned toward the camera. Maya, can we not turn every sentence into a declaration? It was your attorney's phrase. He means while we work through this, I am working through it by ending the marriage. Patrick shifted a document. My client believes the petition was filed during a period of emotional distress. Helena's voice remained calm. My client accepted employment, relocated, retained counsel, and documented finances over several weeks. That is not an impulsive act. It began after a disagreement at dinner, Patrick said. I opened the folder in front of me. It began before our wedding. Noah's face tightened. Maya, you asked when it began. We are here to discuss practical solutions. We are here because the practical solution is divorce. He looked away from the camera. Patrick continued. Mr. Bennett has offered marriage counseling. Mr. Bennett attended 3 of the 11 sessions we previously scheduled. Noah looked back. I missed sessions because of work. I read from my notes. February 4th, Serena's landlord dispute. February 18th, Serena's panic episode. March 3rd, hotel emergency. The hotel later confirmed the emergency meeting ended 2 hours before our appointment. March 17th, Serena's studio lease negotiation. April 7th, your mother's charity dinner. April 21st. No explanation. You kept a list. I lived the list. Helena did not smile, but I saw approval in the stillness of her face. Noah exiled. You never told me you were counting. I was not counting. Then I reconstructed the dates from messages because your attorney suggested my decision was emotional. Patrick turned a page. Perhaps we should focus on the residence. The West Cedar property is my client's premarital asset. Helena said, my client contributed substantial value through improvements. Patrick replied, we will review documented contributions. We will also review the proposed title transfer and line of credit request sent to my client without a full explanation. Noah's head snapped up. That was preliminary. You told me it was routine paperwork. I said it was connected to the Newport acquisition. You planned to borrow against my house. Our house? The deed says otherwise. His composure cracked. You never called it your house before. I never needed to protect it from you before. Silence spread across the 4 screens for 1 second. Noah looked hurt in the past. That expression would have made me retreat. His pain had always seemed more urgent because he displayed it so rarely. Now I understood that hurt did not prove innocence. Patrick requested a private break. Helena muted our microphone. You are doing well, she said. I feel sick. That does not mean you are doing badly. Is every meeting going to be like this? Not exactly. Some will be worse. I laughed once despite myself. She leaned back. He is still negotiating with the version of you who wanted him to choose you. He thinks she is coming back. Are you? No. Then eventually he will have to negotiate with reality. When the mediation resumed, Noah proposed that I return to Boston for 30 days. I refused. He proposed weekend visits. I refused. He asked for 1 in-person conversation without attorneys. I refused. Finally, he said, what would make you consider trying? Nothing. His attorney touched his sleeve. Noah ignored him. You don't mean that. I do. 6 years. Maya, I remember all of them. His voice rose. So do I? No. You remember a comfortable house, organized holidays, and a wife who solved problems before you saw them? That is not all I remember. Then why did you notice me only after I stopped? He had no answer. The session ended without agreement. 2 days later, Eleanor invited me to dinner. Her email was carefully worded. A family conversation. No lawyers, no hostility. We all love you and want to understand. I sent it to Helena. She is staging an intervention. Helena said, I know you are not required to attend. I want to inspect the house and collect the remaining personal records. Then bring copies, not originals. Do not sign anything. Keep your own transportation. I flew to Boston on Friday afternoon. The city looked smaller than I remembered. West Cedar Street was lined with early spring trees. The brownstone's black front door had been repainted. Noah had changed the brass numbers. He opened the door before I reached the steps for a moment. Neither of us spoke. He looked thinner. The house looked exactly the same. Maya, I'm here to inspect the property. His mouth tightened. Hello to you too. Hello, Noah. He stepped aside. The entry table was covered with unopened mail. A dead plant leaned toward the window. 2 pairs of shoes blocked the stairs. Nothing was disastrous. It was simply no longer being quietly maintained. You cut your hair, he said. I touched the ends near my jaw. Yes, it looks good. Thank you. He closed the door. I made coffee. I don't want coffee. I remember how you take it. I know. The distinction unsettled him. Remembering my preferences had become meaningful only after he lost the right to provide them. I walked through the rooms with a property assessor Helena had arranged. Noah followed us in the kitchen. Dishes filled the sink on the refrigerator. Eleanor's appointment schedule was held beneath a hotel magnet. Several dates were crossed out and rewritten. Daniel has been helping her. Noah said that is between you and Daniel. She misses you. I am sure she misses what I did. That is harsh. It is accurate. Upstairs, my former studio had become storage. Boxes of hotel linens covered the floor. Noah's assistant had stacked acquisition files on my drafting shelves. I stood in the doorway. I told them not to use this room, he said. But they did. I can clear it. No need. He moved beside me. I did not understand how much space I took. I turned toward him. Physical space, all of it. The answer was better than I expected. It was still too late. I'm in therapy, he said. That is good. I told Serena not to contact me. That is your decision. I asked the hotel group to reimburse the studio expenses. Were they business expenses? No. The word came quietly. No, he repeated. They were not. I waited. I wanted to help her start over. He said she was ashamed. After the divorce, her ex controlled the money. I thought if I gave her independence, she would stop depending on me emotionally. And did she? No. Did you? He looked at the floor. No. The assessor entered the room and the conversation ended at 6 o'clock. Cars began arriving for Eleanor's family dinner. I had told her I would not attend an intervention. She claimed it was only dinner. When I came downstairs, 12 people were seated around the long dining table, the same number who had attended my anniversary. Eleanor sat at one end. Noah's Aunt Margaret sat at the other. Daniel occupied a chair near the center. An empty place waited beside Noah. I remained standing. Eleanor smiled too brightly. We thought it would be easier to speak as a family. You said this was not an intervention. It isn't. Sit down. No. Noah stood. Mom, she said she didn't want this. Eleanor looked offended. We are trying to save your marriage. Maya does not want dinner. Noah said it was the first time I had heard him defend a boundary before I enforced it myself. The gesture did not erase 6 years, but I noticed it. Eleanor folded her hands. Maya, people are confused about what? You moved without warning. You stopped helping with my care. You have threatened to remove Noah from his home. Serena has been blamed for everything. And now you are refusing counseling. That sounds less like confusion and more like a completed opinion. Margaret sighed. We have all made sacrifices for marriage. I set my document case on the table. So have I? Eleanor's eyes narrowed. We know. No, you don't. I opened the case. Noah said softly. Maya, you don't have to do this. Yes, I do. I handed Daniel the first copy of the expense summary and asked him to pass the others around. Eleanor did not touch hers. What is this? 6 years of household and family expenses paid from my business income. Inheritance distributions or personal account. Margaret adjusted her glasses. Daniel began reading. I continued. The West Cedar down payment came from my grandmother's estate. The property taxes have been paid primarily from my account. Over 6 years, I paid $112,000 toward Eleanor's home care, transportation, supplemental insurance, and medical equipment. Eleanor's face flushed. You offered, yes, you cannot demand repayment for caring about family. I am not demanding repayment. I am correcting the claim that I abandoned a family that supported me. Noah stared at the numbers. I had sent some of them to him before. He had never seen the full total. I turned to the second page. I also paid for 17 family dinners. For charity events hosted at my home, Daniel's graduation reception, Margaret's anniversary party, and the hotel holiday dinner. When Bennett Hospitality failed to reimburse the caterer, Margaret stopped reading. The company never reimbursed you. No. She looked at Noah. He rubbed her hand over his mouth. I assumed accounting handled it. That sentence appears frequently in our marriage. I said. Daniel reached the section on Serena. His eyes hardened. I placed the bank statements on the table. During the same 5 months that I paid Eleanor's nurse and the West Cedar mortgage, Noah transferred $48,730 from our joint funds to Serena or her business. Eleanor pushed back her chair. That was not your money alone. Correct. It was not Noah's loan either. Serena was rebuilding her life. So was I. The difference is that no one knew because I was expected to fund both. Margaret looked at Noah. Did Mayor approve this? He answered without looking up. No. A silence fell so completely that I heard the old clock in the hall. Eleanor recovered first. This should not be discussed in front of everyone. You discussed my departure in front of everyone. That is different. No, it is simply less comfortable for you. She turned on Noah. Why did you admit that? He stared at her. Because it is true. For the first time, Eleanor seemed to understand that her son might not help her preserve the story. She looked at me. You could have asked for help. I did. When I asked Noah to attend counseling, I asked you to stop inviting Serena to private family occasions. I asked the hotel group to reimburse event expenses. I asked Daniel to help with transportation when I had deadlines. I asked Margaret to host Thanksgiving once. Margaret lowered her eyes. I thought you preferred hosting. You thought that because Eleanor told you. Daniel leaned forward. I remember Maya asking for help after Mom's hip surgery. Eleanor snapped. This is not about me. It became about you when you called her selfish for stopping. Daniel said she stared at him. I closed the document case. I did not come here to win a vote. I came to make sure no one can honestly say they did not know. Noah stepped away from his chair. Can we talk outside? No, please. I looked around the table. Everyone who had accepted my labor as background now waited for me to soften the consequences. I have said what I came to say. I picked up my coat. Eleanor stood. If you walk out now, do not expect this family to welcome you back. I paused in my first life. That threat had controlled me for years. The Bennetts had become my family after my grandmother died. I had tolerated disrespect because losing them felt like becoming alone. Now I looked at Eleanor and saw the exchange clearly. Their welcome had always required my usefulness. I am not trying to come back. I said I left. Noah followed me onto the front steps. Rain had begun, thin and cold. Maya. I opened the rideshare app. I told my mother not to arrange that. You still attended. I needed the property inspection. That is all. Yes. He looked through the glass door at his family. I read the whole expense report. Good. I didn't know. You did not want to know. That is not the same. It is when the result belongs to someone else. He stepped closer. I am trying to understand. I believe you. Hope flickered across his face. I continued. Understanding does not obligate me to return. The hope disappeared. What am I supposed to do with that? Live differently. With you? No. His face tightened. You already decided there will never be another chance. Yes. How can you be so certain? Because I had died waiting for him. Because I remembered the sound of metal crushing around me. Because I knew exactly how many years hope could steal. I could not tell him that. So I said, because peace arrived before you did. My car pulled to the curb as I opened the door. Noah said, Are you seeing someone? I turned slowly. What? In Chicago? No, Priya said, You work late. You have new clothes. You cut your hair. You will not even consider counseling. People don't detach this quickly unless there is another man. He did not answer. Anger rose through me, clean and immediate. Not because he suspected me, because even now he could not imagine I had left for myself. You think someone else must be giving me what you did not? I'm asking. No. You are searching for a reason that leaves your importance intact. That is not fair. You cannot believe I chose a job, an apartment, and a life that do not include you. So, you invented a man. I did not invent anyone. You just asked whether he exists. The car waited. I stepped closer to Noah. I did not leave you because someone else loved me better. I left because I finally understood that being alone was kinder than being married to you. He looked as though I had struck him. I got into the car the next week. Serena posted a photograph from a Boston restaurant. The caption read, Some women leave long before they admit where their hearts have gone. No names appeared. None were necessary. Eleanor shared it. 2 Bennett cousins commented with heart symbols by noon. An acquaintance had messaged me. I heard there is someone in Chicago. I hope you are happy. I sent every post to Helena. Then I ignored them. 3 days later, Hawthorne hosted a preservation reception at the Ashford Theatre. Donors, city officials, contractors, and neighborhood representatives gathered beneath temporary lights in the half-restored lobby. I wore a black suit and spoke for 12 minutes about structural stabilization. My hands did not shake afterward. I stood with the project engineer beside a display model when the room changed. People looked toward the entrance. Noah had arrived. He was still wearing his coat. Rain darkened the shoulders. His eyes moved through the crowd until they found me standing beside Marcus Reed, the engineer. Marcus was 61, married and speaking about limestone anchors. Noah saw only a man beside me. He crossed the lobby. Maya. Marcus stopped speaking. I looked at Noah. You were not invited. I called your office. You were told not to come. His gaze moved to Marcus. Can we speak privately? No. A familiar muscle tightened in his jaw. Then answer one question. No. Is this him? Marcus blinked. Is what me? I felt the entire scene become still. Several donors watched from the wine table. Priya began moving toward us. I raised one hand, stopping her. This was mine to answer. Noah, I said, you need to leave. I came to ask you directly because your lawyer threatened Serena over a social media post. My lawyer sent a preservation notice. You told my family there is no one else. There isn't. He looked at Marcus again. Humiliation spread across Marcus's face on my behalf. Something inside me went cold. You came into my workplace, I said, ignored a direct request to stay away and accused me of infidelity in front of my colleagues. I did not accuse you. You asked whether a man old enough to be my father was the reason I left. Marcus cleared his throat. I am going to find my wife. He walked away. A few people pretended not to watch. Noah lowered his voice. I saw the way he was standing beside you. You saw me existing near a man without your supervision. That is not what this is. Then what is it? I do not understand how you stopped loving me. There it was, not an accusation this time, a confession. I looked at the man I had loved through 6 years and one entire ruined life. You think it happened when I moved? I said it happened every time you taught me that my pain would not change your behavior. His face broke open. Not dramatically, a small collapse around the eyes. I can change. You are changing because I left. Does the reason matter if the change is real? Yes. Why? Because I asked for the same change when it could have protected me. You refused until it became necessary to protect you. The building's security director approached. Ms. Ellis, is everything all right? I had returned to using my professional name after moving. Noah noticed. His gaze dropped to my badge. Maya Ellis, project director. Sir, the security director asked. Noah looked at me. I did not rescue him from the moment he was asked not to attend. I said. The security director nodded. Sir, I'll need you to come with me. Noah's face flushed. Maya, leave. He stood still for another second. Then he allowed security to escort him through the lobby. The whispers began after the doors closed. I turned to the display model. Priya came to stand beside me. Do you want me to end the event? No. Do you want 5 minutes? I looked at the damaged theater around me, at the columns we had stabilized at the ceiling. We were slowly uncovering beneath decades of smoke and neglect. No, I said. I want to finish. I returned to the donors. The next morning, Helena called. Noah has received the divorce petition. I closed the construction report on my desk. What did he say? His attorney asked whether you would withdraw the request for limited contact if Noah agreed to a second mediation. No, I assumed. Anything else? He wants to contest your exclusive claim to West Cedar. He can try, and he wants reimbursement for improvements made during the marriage. We have the invoices. Yes, I heard paper move on Helena's desk. Maya, the petition also triggered full financial disclosure. We found additional spending linked to Serena. How much? We do not know yet.